Hi guys, I'm back. Part 3, Hypocrisy on Social Media. Here we go again. Okay, so Maxine just made a live, and apparently she was directed by someone to come out and actually do a live. So we already know Maxine is the type of person like this. She gets really confused, she get rattled, she get nervous, and sometimes she don't know how to actually present her facts or non-facts, as some may want to say. So she usually have someone behind her that kind of help and guide her. So first, we had Lorraine that stepped up in the whole situation with her and Donna, and then she had Ashanti that jumped on board and tried to assist and help her, and then she had many of her little followers and viewers that tried to help her and assist her. So now you have a new person behind the scene that's actually helping her and guiding her and telling her what to do, how to make a live, when not to make a live, when to shut it off, when to start the live. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, it's unfortunate because, Maxine at some point have got to learn how to gain the strong backbone and the strength to actually fight her own battles without getting anyone else involved. And that's how it becomes like a social media circus. So eventually, I'm hoping that for her, that eventually one day she could able to fight her own battles. But moving on from that, so she played Lorraine live, the full live, so we can, well, not the full entire live, but enough for you to understand what really went down. So some points that I want to point out is me hearing the part where Lorraine said, because I didn't hear that part before. The only part that I hear, and I'll play that in a little bit, so you can hear the part that I actually hear that didn't mention the grandson. But there is a part that's gotten played that I can now hear where Lorraine said, something about her grandson and giving Ethan left to your grandson and whatever the case may be. Okay, again, I already said it and I'm going to say it again. Lorraine is absolutely wrong to interject spitting spitting into food, like mentioning that she spit in somebody's food, even though me personally don't believe she did it. It was still part of the all cuss and whatever, but that's her choice words that she decided to use. And to also to mention the grandson, now that I'm hearing that part of it, that equates to that. So that's totally wrong. But it does not take away from the fact that the whole entire thing was really all about a cuss, saying the worst thing that I can find to hurt your feelings. Lorraine know how much Maxine grandkids means to her, how much she loves and adores them. She's aware of that, just like how Lorraine love and adore her grandson. So that's gonna be, unfortunately, with social media, people like to put up, people's kids on Facebook and try to, involve kids in things. I personally have never done that. I would never do that, putting up someone's grandchild on social media when the poor little innocent grandchild have nothing to do with what's going on social media. To me, that shows a person immaturity, and it just showed the type of person that particular person is. Okay, so people like that, you have to kind of just say, okay, I see what type of person you are, and I know who I'm dealing with. So you just revamp, come again, and you just try to deal with it differently. But to come back to the whole situation now, Maxine actually said on her live about the food, that the food was, it appears, or maybe it sounds as if it was in her possession, other than when she put it in the refrigerator. Now, she said that it wasn't Steve and Lorraine's eaten left that she took. It was her own food that she cut in half and saved the other half for, I guess, to bring it home. Whether she mentioned to Lorraine or not that she was planning to give it to the kids, at this point, it's unknown. But she said it was her own food. It wasn't eaten left. So I want to make sure, now that I'm hearing it directly from her mouth, to correct any part in my previous videos that could give a better understanding. She said that it was her own food that she cut in half and saved the other half to bring home with her. And that's apparently, she's saying that's the food that Steve brought out to her to the car. Now, I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know who's telling the truth from who's not telling the truth, because at this point, for someone to bring a big bag of food, that's what it sounded like it was like a big bag of food that was brought out. I mean, I don't know how much food that was bought just for Maxine, and by splitting it in half, you know, I don't understand how you still end up with a big bag of food. But it's neither near or there, and I know I probably sound a little bit biased right now, but I'm not. It's just my own opinion of how I see it. But anyway, she said it was her own food that she actually wrapped up half of it to bring home. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, so at that point then, Lorraine and her husband wouldn't have access at that point then to spit in any food. So I'm trying to see where the spitting in the food may or could have happened. Now, Maxine said something about putting the refrigerator and whatever. So again, Maxine and Lorraine was still friends at that time. They were still really good friends. They were happy. They had no beef between them. So I don't kind of understand at that point, why would Lorraine go in the refrigerator? Because that's what we're going to have to now assume, that she went into the refrigerator then, because that's the only time and access she probably would have with the food. Why was she, in the midst of the fact that they're still good friends, they're still buddies, you know, they had a wonderful weekend, had a really great time, you know, Lorraine took her shopping, they accommodate her at the hotel room so that way she don't have to travel so far to go back home. Why in the midst of all of that, Lorraine snuck, I guess in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning, I don't know at what point Lorraine maybe have went into the refrigerator, opened up the bag, spit in it for no reason, close it back, and then make sure Maxine got it. So guys, I'm still summoning up to all but nothing but cuss. It was cuss, mentioning her grandchild. She know that would hurt her. She went a little too far by saying she spat in the food. That went a little too far to hurt her. But at the end of the day, I honestly don't believe that Lorraine actually spat in the food. At this point, the truth is really between Lorraine and God. But in giving my opinion and assessing the situation and the access that Lorraine would have to actually spit in the food would not have been at the restaurant, because Maxine said it was half of her own food that she was eating that she split up and saved the other half. So there's no point at that point anyone could have spat in her food. So it only other time is if she said she put it in the refrigerator, that would have been the time. And again, why would Lorraine at that point, when they're not in any argument, they had a great time, they were really buddies, they were really good friends, spit in the food at that point? So people, just think about it. Think about it. At this point, yes, I give Lorraine wrong for saying what she said. And to me, that is what the only thing she would have been guilty of, is the words that came out of her mouth. And sometimes we all have done and said things that we wish we could take back. Sometimes we say things that actually come to bite us back in the butt. But that's the consequences of speaking without thinking, especially when you're in a heated argument. But that is all it is that I boil it down to. It's just a matter of people fell out. People start to cuss back and forth. They got in a heated argument, and Lorraine said the one thing that she know, or the two things that she know will hurt Maxine, and that was about the food, the spitting in the food, and mentioning her grandchild. I hope and pray this will end peacefully, gracefully, and we all could forgive, apologize, and just keep it moving. Have a blessed day, blessed night, blessed evening. All depends on what part of the world you're in. You guys have a great day. And this is part 3. Don't forget, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like up the video. All right, later.